Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic relationships, healing and coping with these relationships, and sometimes trying to figure out someone's an asshole, the non-technical term for in the neighborhood of narcissism. So let's take a look at this one. I had an incident on my wedding day back in 2017 where my former fiance abandoned me and ran away with his pregnant mistress. That image, those details, are forever engraved on my mind, and I'll never forget how I felt that day. This was truly a turning point in my life. My family have always been there for me, and so I kept close to them. My younger sister is currently engaged and her wedding will be in a few months. She's struggling with money, so I decided to help her and her fiancé and pay the wedding dress. This allowed her to be able to buy her dream wedding gown that cost $7,000. It's a lot for a dress, but she literally cried because she wanted it. This happened a few days before we agreed, and so the thing the lady's about to talk about happened a few days before they went to go to the dress. This happened. We were eating dinner at my parents' house, and my cousin and aunt were there. My aunt was asking my sister about the wedding, and my sister said that everything was going according to plan, and then casually laughed and said, "Let's just hope he won't run away with a pregnant mistress or something on our wedding day." I was blown away completely. She laughed, and my aunt laughed too, as if this was a joke. She was basically mocking what happened with me in my wedding. It happened so fast, I got up and started screaming at her, calling her an idiot. But my parents asked me to take it easy, and she said it was a joke, and she didn't think I'd react so intensely. My aunt remained seated, and my cousin asked me to calm down and drink some water, and I grabbed my stuff. And as I was getting ready, I told my sister she was getting $0 for her dream wedding dress. Then I walked out. I heard louder commotion as I walked, and my dad and cousin followed me outside, trying to talk, but I asked to be left alone. Me and my dad spoke, and my mom and dad spoke to me, saying I was too harsh on my sister over a joke, and said that I know this is how she is with her dark sense of humor. They said she's been crying after I decided to back out of helping her, and said this would ruin her wedding. They want me to reconsider my decision because it might damage my relationship with my sister, but I refused. It's my aunt that would usually bring up what happened from time to time and say stuff like, if what happened didn't happen, you would have had at least 2 kids by now, or do you know what day it is? It's your wedding anniversary. It's harsh, but she stopped doing it anymore. Maybe my sister's being influenced by her, but still it hurt the same and more coming from my own sister. And this person is asking, did I overreact? So this really gets into that larger issue of rabid insensitivity and entitlement. $7,000 for a dress you wear once makes absolutely zero sense to me. $7,000 could be used for so much substantial stuff. So the sister actually sounds like a bit of a fool. So let's just start there, even if she hadn't done what she had done. The thing with families is, that they're sometimes perceived to be safe spaces where people can say anything. There's this nonsense about the unconditionality of a family and all this other stuff. So it's almost as though as the sister, who sounds a little bit like an entitled brat, is getting more and more things to go her way. Her wedding, her dress, her this, her that. That there's an emboldening. Instead of a grace and a kindness and a warmth, there's an emboldenedness about her that comes out. And she makes a comment like this: "It's not a joke. This is one of probably the most stressful, awful, humiliating, painful, grief-stricken things that has happened to this person." And probably a good way to think about this is that if a person isn't joking about it themselves, which clearly this woman is not doing, someone else should not be making a joke about it. Okay, so it's not as though that the person who got jilted by the probably narcissistic ex-fiance is saying, "Oh boy, you know what? Glad to buy you a dress because God knows I got left on my wedding day." It's not doing this. And if anything, actually stepping up and being so graceful as to support her sister's wedding when her own wedding got destroyed is actually really, really transcendent of her and very kind of her, because a lot of people might have said, "I can't be involved in this is too painful," or "I'll show up that day." But she's going so far as to say she's going to spend some inordinate amount of money on the sister's dress so that the sister doesn't have enough empathy. And you know what I'm tired of? I'll tell you this. This also brings up a real pet peeve around narcissistic, entitled, toxic relationships. Calling something dark humor as a way to get away with saying something terrible to someone doesn't fly. It is a very twisted, entitled, and problematic justification. That is not dark humor. If you're going to engage in dark humor, you need to make sure everyone in the room is on the same page. It's like watching a movie that has dark humor. You're okay, I'm signing up to watch a movie around dark humor, so there's going to be uncomfortable jokes. I consented to this. This woman did not agree to be the subject of dark humor. So this dark humor as a way out, which then is used to gaslight the person who is experiencing the hurt, the woman who was left at her wedding by the awful fiance. So she is her experience is being invalidated, and then another gaslight. A lot of these am I the assholes are about gaslighting and entitlement and all that. In this case, they're saying that the woman who reacted strongly against her sister overreacted. She reacted. She reacted to someone being invalidating. It's very likely that for the person who's writing this question, her sister's wedding, even though she was trying to be graceful and buy the expensive dress, that it's bringing up strong emotions for her. And that her sister didn't have the sufficient empathy to say, wow, I'm so fortunate she's helping me. Her sister could have sat down with her, could have asked her, are you doing okay? I know this is a difficult topic, but certainly not trying to turn it into something for laughs. It sounds like the aunt is a piece of work too. And so it could very well be that when the aunt is around, people might even be going into sort of a fawn response around her dark humor and getting into it. But everyone here is an adult and can take responsibility for their behavior. But here we are once again with a family system closing ranks to protect the people who are behaving toxically in that system. In this case, the younger sister who wants the $7,000 dress, and the father and the aunt or whomever go out with her and say, oh no, you're being unreasonable. This is not okay. It's not good for the family. Whatever it is, you're going to hurt your relationship with your sister. The sister hurt the relationship with the sister. This woman who's writing this letter did not hurt the relationship with the sister. But in the zeal of families to stick together and stay together, this is how toxic people get so emboldened in families. Because once a person sets a boundary and says, I'm not putting up with this is ridiculous, the whole system falls apart. Once somebody has a real reaction to someone's toxic conduct in a family, the whole thing falls apart. And the way a lot of toxic family dynamics are set up is that it's set up to almost be a theater for the toxic, entitled person to do and say what they want. And everyone else has to put up and shut up, because to do otherwise is to be called a joke, to be told you're ridiculous, to be told you're overreacting. And in essence, the implicit communication is put up with what the toxic family member is saying. So obviously, no, the person's question is, did I overreact? Absolutely didn't overreact. You reacted. You had a reaction to somebody at a time which probably felt vulnerable to you, actually saying something when you just did such a good, kind thing for them, kind of sticking it to you, that speaks to a deficit in character on your sister's part. And if one person tries to push back and say, a wedding is a stressful time. No, it's not. It's putting on a dress and it's dancing in front of people, and whatever, anyone who's engaging in the lifetime vow thing, that's on you. But come on. What's stressful is actually helping a sister plan a wedding after your own wedding, not that long ago, 6 years ago, was destroyed by somebody betraying you and abandoning you when you were about to get married because he knocked someone else up. So that it is and that the aunt kept making jokes about it speaks a little bit to sort of the toxicity that's permitted to persist in this family environment. So this person did not overreact. And I think that this kind of an am I the asshole kind of question really highlights how families, strangely enough, close ranks, seal the system, and make it so the toxic person can behave any way they want. Because if anyone were to take a stance against that, and often the only stance you can take is to step away from it because they're never going to stop, that the person who steps away is always the one who's viewed as the bad actor. So again, weddings always bring out the very worst in people. But when a person already leans towards entitlement and lack of empathy, absolutely brings out the worst. It's a shame the sister didn't end up with the ex-fiance. Hope that was helpful, and thanks again.